There are many monitors on the market nowadays, but what features would one monitor have to make me only use one instead of having multiple like I have now? So welcome to 2024. I'm super excited to be making videos again. It has been quite a minute since we've posted a video to this channel, but now we're back and now we're creating. So I'm going to be breaking this video up into two sections. There's going to be like a mandatory section, which means like any monitor that you buy in 2024 needs to have these specific features. And then there's going to be a pro section, which is like if a monitor had all these features, I would exclusively use only that monitor and I wouldn't need multiple ones like I have today. So when it comes to using a monitor, you need the basics, right? You need to be able to make sure that your image can be properly exposed from your camera using the tools that your monitor supplies. So those things are features like waveform, histogram, false color, framing guides, audio levels, and you need to make sure that you can see the monitor so that you can obviously be able to monitor your image from your camera. Now, it is important to me that in the framing guide section that you are able to do 9:16. That way I can frame for vertical videos while I'm shooting horizontal videos. Not every monitor has this ability. So moving on, for me, it's super important that the monitor is easy to use. So whenever I picked up my first Ninja V5 Atomos monitor, I found the menu kind of hard to figure out. There were things I couldn't find. There was just a lot of stuff going on that I didn't like. Since then, they've updated that menu system. It is a lot easier now. But that's an example of what I would say is not an easy to use menu. So when I say easy to use, I want to make sure that it's easy to operate, move around, find the buttons that I need to find the overlays. All those different things are super simple, super easy to find. Now, also in the ease of use section, I count that as mounting options as well. I need to be able to mount this monitor in multiple different ways, whether that's vertical or horizontal. And this monitor does have both of those options. Now, one of the things that this monitor doesn't have when it comes to mounting is a mounting hole on the top. But that's because we have an added feature in this monitor which causes there to be antennas here. We'll talk a little bit more about those later. And also in the category of ease of use, I count connectivity as well. So what I mean by connectivity, can I use this with HDMI? Can I use it with SDI? Can I use a V-mount battery pretty easily with this monitor? Does it have pass-through power? And I can say that this monitor has literally all of those options. You just have a lot of options when it comes to connectivity. The only thing that you don't have, which doesn't matter that much to me, is an SDI out, but you do have an SDI in, which is obviously super helpful. Okay, so let's move on to our pro features. These are things that I would say don't necessarily need to come on every monitor, but if you do have them, they would be in the category of pro in my qualifications. So first off, we have the ability to record. Now, for the longest time, the company Atomos has really taken over the industry with recording monitors, which is helpful for a plethora of different reasons. Whether you want to record a backup file, whether you want to record only to the monitor and not to your camera, maybe that's for overheating issues or etc. But recently we've seen this feature of recording to the monitor trickle over into other monitors as well, like Blackmagic, and even into this monitor. Kinda. So this is very, very weird, but technically, yes, this monitor can record. And not only that, it has one of the features that I think is mandatory whenever you're recording to a monitor, and that's to be able to trigger from recording on your camera. Like whenever you press the record button on your camera, it also starts recording to the monitor as well. It does have that feature, but you can't export the recordings from this monitor. So to my understanding, you can record to the monitor and it's only up to 2 minutes, but it's only for playback use. So that means that as soon as you turn off the monitor and reboot it, what you recorded before is deleted, and there is no way to actually record from this monitor to an actual medium. And what I mean by a medium is like an SD card or an SSD. There's no way to do that or even export the recording from here. So it's simply for playback reasons, which is very, very weird. But when it comes to what I need in the monitor in general, obviously this doesn't record. I would say that I need at least 4K recording, and I need to be able to record in multiple different frame rates as well. Now, when it comes to the way that you record, whether it's an SSD or whether it's an SD card, honestly, I don't really care. I'll record to either one of those. I guess maybe an SD card so that I don't have to worry about mounting the SSD somewhere. But yeah, bringing it back around to this monitor, it doesn't really record. Now, the next pro feature that I would say is the ability to be able to change your camera settings from the monitor itself. And when I say camera settings, I'm talking about things like ISO, aperture, shutter speed, or the frame rate. All of those things you're not able to do on this monitor, at least in the firmware update that I have currently. Now, there are monitors out there that have these features. Like I know Portkeys offers those features in a lot of their monitors. And I know that also with Tilta products, like the Tilta Follow Focus, on the screen, you can actually change a lot of your camera settings. So technically, if you're gonna be using a monitor like this, it doesn't have those features, you can work around that if you're gonna be manually pulling focus with a device like that. But really, I would like to have that on screen right up front in my face where I can click around and change the settings so that I don't have to look at two screens. So moving down to our last feature, which is something that I didn't even know I necessarily wanted. And that was the ability to be able to transmit directly from the monitor and not have to have an external transmission system outside of the monitor. Now, if you don't understand why this is important, traditionally you would have a monitor and then you would have a transmission system that you also need to mount somewhere else on your camera. And typically you would have to power those both with a MPF battery and then run another HDMI from the monitor, hoping that you had an HDMI out to that transmission system, and then plug in the transmission system to the device that you're transmitting to, and then run another HDMI and power that. But with this, you don't really have to do all that crazy cord mess. So with this monitor, you can actually send a signal or receive a signal from another compatible Hollyland device. Now for me, I'm gonna be using this for a director's view. So whenever I'm out shooting in the field, I can have my own monitor, but I can also transmit to a smartphone, to an iPad, or to a completely another monitor that the director has that he can look at. This is obviously super helpful because you don't want someone over your shoulder the whole time you're shooting and trying to frame up a shot to look at this tiny monitor. They can be away from you and have their own signal for up to 450 feet with line of sight, which is obviously not over your shoulder. So overall, even though the Mars M1 does not have some of the features that I would hope for it to have, the image transmission system at the price range that they offer these devices is one that I definitely want to keep around in my camera kit. So if I were to give this monitor a score out of 10, I would put it at a 7 because the functionality, the connectivity that this monitor offers compared to some of the other monitors in the price range is really not something that you could find. So if you're interested in purchasing one of these devices for yourself, you can find a link in the bio. And until next time, happy 2024. Peace out. Hey, so I just wanted to jump in here at the end and thank you guys so much for sticking through with me over these last few months as I've been really busy creating content for other YouTubers. If you guys haven't seen, I've actually been running the LOL podcast, which is like absolutely blowing up like crazy. We started with 0 subs and in just 6 months got to over 1.2 million subscribers on that channel. I'm also running the club channel content as well. And so I've been really busy there, which hasn't allowed me to have time to create my own content. But you guys have been really faithful and have actually helped me grow 1,000 subs without posting any content over the past few months. So we just hit a milestone of 6,000 subscribers. So I just wanted to jump in here at the end and thank you guys so much for that. And I plan to create a lot more videos this year. As long as tech is coming out, there's many videos for me to create. And so we'll be creating them all, as many as we can in 2024.